guys, this week's video is going to be a dessert, and this one is called Poudine Manioc, and basically it's made with this guy here, which we're just going to peel, and we're going to blend it with some coconut milk, some water. I've got around 150 grams of sugar here. I've got some salt, and then later we're going to decorate with some desiccated coconut. So the first thing we need to do is peel this, chop this, and I don't actually have a blender, so I'm going to use a small food processor, and you'll see the steps that I'll take to make this pudding. It's going to go into a bain-marie, so it's going to steam. Some people do microwave this, but I often find that it dries out very quickly. It's meant to be quite sticky, so I'm just going to show you how I do this at home. Right guys, you may wonder what this is, and this is what we use to make Poudine Manioc, and this is a root vegetable, and we peel this and we're going to blend this with some coconut milk, some water. I've got sugar, salt, and we're going to decorate with desiccated coconut right at the end. It's a really different type of pudding. If you're not Mauritian, you may not get it, but for me, it's a really nostalgic pudding. It's actually one of my mum's favourites. It's a bit gloopy, a bit gummy, I suppose that's the best description. And it's just really, really interesting. It's steamed as well, so it's very healthy, and it's really delicious for me. So I'm going to show you this very traditional Poudine Manioc. Now, as you can see, as I've chopped into this, there's a bit of badness, a bit of the root that's a bit rotten. So I'm just going to take that section out. So just make sure that when you're doing this, that the entire root is white. So can you see there's just a little bit here, which will make the taste a bit bitter. And you want it to be really, really soft in flavour and really sort of a gentle and light flavour. So now that's done, I'm just going to chop it into smaller pieces. So the next step is I'm just going to put this straight into my blender. I'm going to do a little bit at a time. And I'm going to add in some water and some coconut milk to this. And half the salt and some of the sugar, and I'm just going to blend this up now. So this is kind of the consistency we're looking for. It should be a bit like a thin porridge. I think that's probably the best description. So I'm just going to make sure I take all of the last bits out and add a little bit more of the milk, the coconut milk, and mix it up. So I'm just creating a water bath, and all we're going to do is place the manioc straight inside, and we're just going to put the lid on as well. And we're going to let that steam now for around 20 to 25 minutes. So I've actually cooked this for about 35 minutes, and this is what it should look like when it's cooked. I'll just take it out of the saucepan. Oh. We're super steamed. Let's move that out of the way. Okie dokie. So, if you can see, it's cooked all the way through. It's gone kind of opaque, and it's a little bit sticky on the top, which is fine. All we need to do is let this set now for around 3 to 4 hours. I tend to let it cool down on the counter and then pop it straight into the fridge. You can feel that it's sticky on the edges, which is fine. And it will be a little bit wet on the top, and that's quite normal. And that will just eventually become a bit dry once it cools down. So I'm going to let this cool overnight, and then I'll show you what it looks like tomorrow. Right, so this has had overnight to set. And as you can see, the top has gone kind of sticky, but it's not as wet as yesterday. And what we're going to do is try and slice this up and get them portioned up. We do need our coconut flakes on the side, and let's try and slice this up and get this served up. And I'm just going to use my palette knife, my step one, try and pick up a slice at a time. It's quite sticky and a little bit of a mass, like a gloopy mass, which is normal, don't worry about that. And that's what it will come out like. And the best thing I find is, as soon as you've managed to take them out, is just to take a tray and just sprinkle coconut onto the base of the tray, just like that. And all we need to do is just cover them, and then they stop being so sticky. And that's what they will look like once they're done. So we're just going to keep going until they're all done. So if you can see with the last little bits, I can just reform them once I've got the coconut on there. In Mauritius, we use cassava quite a lot for different things. It's really versatile, and it's very much an interesting starch. We use it for tapioca pudding, because obviously cassava, from the actual root itself, you can get tapioca, and we tend to have that in a coconut pudding, which is delicious as well. But this one is really, really popular, and it was more popular sort of when I was much younger. I don't see it as much anymore, but it is a really traditional, you know, pastry, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. My mum absolutely loves it, so I'm actually making it for her. I'm going to take it over later tonight. So just make sure it's kind of fully covered, because you don't want them to stick to each other when you lay them up. And that's it, guys. That's literally how I make my Poudine Manioc, which is a classic Mauritian pudding using a cassava root, which was blended, put together with sugar, some salt, some coconut milk. You can use dairy milk if you want, like cow's milk, but I love the flavour of the coconut along with the coconut, desiccated coconut that I've added at the end. And that's how I make my traditional Mauritian Poudine Manioc. Hope you like the recipe, guys.